all, welcome back to one more video. In today's class, we are going to discuss about one of the important properties in system Verilog, which is abstraction. Until now, we have discussed one property in system Verilog, which is inheritance, and then coming to next properties, which is abstraction. There are still two more properties, which is encapsulation and polymorphism. We will be discussing them also in the next coming videos. And also, if you are new to my channel, consider subscribing my channel and hit on the notification bell. I'm a design and verification trainer who trains students on design and verification courses like Verilog, System Verilog, UVM, and some protocols. So if you come under any VLSI enthusiast, please share this video to them so that it may be helpful for them. So in today's session, we are going to talk about this abstraction. So what is the meaning of this abstraction, or what is the abstract class in System Verilog? Basically, this is somewhat different from the usual classes that you write in the System Verilog. Okay, so basically, when you are using the virtual keyword in front of your class, then that is called as abstract class. So when you want to differ the class, normal class from the abstract class, how will you do it? When you find any virtual keyword in front of the class, then that is the abstract class. If there is no virtual keyword, then that is the normal class. So now, since we know what is abstract class and what is normal class, now let us see what is the difference between the normal class and the abstract class. Okay, so basically, why do we use this abstract class, and what is the use of this abstract class, and like what is the difference between normal class and abstract class? Coming to the difference between normal class and abstract class, firstly, this abstract class, we can't instantiate this abstract class. We can only derive this class by using the child classes. Okay, but when it comes to normal class, we can instantiate it. That means we can create object for this, we can create handle and object for them, and then we can use it normally. But in case of abstract class, this is not the case, because in abstract class we can only derive the properties of the class in our child class, but we can't use that properties directly when you are using the virtual keyword. Okay, hope you got my point on what is the difference between abstract class and normal class. Right, now coming to what is the use of this normal class, sorry, what is the use of this abstract class? As I told you, we can't instantiate it, we can only derive it. So what is the need? Why do we need for such classes only for deriving purposes? So basically, when you enter into some verification environment, when you are doing any design verification, basically, so there may occur some situation where you need to derive, you don't want to use the class, but you want to use the properties of that class. That means you don't want to create any object or memory for that class. Okay, but you need to use that properties. So what you will do in such cases, so you will be making that particular class which you don't want to create the object as the virtual class, so that you can derive the properties in your class, but you no need to use that particular class. Okay, hope you got an idea on what is this abstract class. So what does this abstract class consist of? Basically, there are some default properties which you will be using in every of your child classes or else something. So all these default functionalities or default properties, default methods, so all this will be there in this abstract class. Basically, to put it in simple words for you, okay, when you're writing some paper or when you're doing some project, you will be writing in abstract. Is it or not? Everyone will be asking you what is the abstract of your project or what is the abstract of your paper. So what does this abstract consist of? This abstract consists of some key points that you have done in your project. Is it or not? That means your entire project is explained in some 4 or 5 paragraphs. Right? So that is abstract. Similarly, abstract class is nothing but some default properties or some default methods which you will be using in your entire code, they will be kept in this abstract class. So now what happens, you can use them at any point of your class, but you shouldn't instantiate them. Okay, that means you don't need to use the class, you don't want to create the object for the class, but you want to use only the properties, you want to only derive the properties. So in such cases we'll be using this abstract class. Hope you got an idea on what is abstract class, what is the need of abstract class in system verilog. Okay, so in order to give you more idea on what is this virtual class and what are the use of these classes, and what if you don't use the virtual keyword, what happens? So all these things we'll be discussing with examples, right? If you see here, as I told you, in abstract class we can't create the um, object for that. So if you see here, this is virtual class packet. Okay, if you see here, this is virtual in nature. That means if you are using the virtual keyword before the class, then that means this is the abstract class. So once this is the abstract class, what you should know? You should know that this can't be instantiated. That means you can't create any memory or any object for this. You can only derive it. Okay, so I can't create any object for my particular packet. But what I have done here, I have created the handle and then I have created the object for this particular packet. So since this is the abstract class, you can't do it. So since you can't do it, it is throwing the error. So if you see the error here, what is the error? Virtual class P is equal to instantiation of the object P cannot be done. Have you seen this? You can't instantiate the object because its type packet is abstract class, abstract base class, which is nothing but which is virtual class. We also call this as virtual class or abstract class. Both are same. Okay, many of you are asking me doubt about this, like what is the difference between abstract class and virtual class? But there is no difference. Some call it as virtual class and some call it as abstract class. Both are same. Yes, this is about the virtual class. Now let us see the example for this. Okay, let us see the example on EDA playground so that it will be much more interesting for you. So if you see here, okay, first let us see the code, right? So if you see the code here, like this is the normal code. I haven't used any virtual keyword here. If you see in my entire program, there is no virtual keyword. So this is normal code here. So this is class. Okay, this class consists of two properties, data and ID, and one method which is display, right? And then within module, I have created the handle for this particular class ptr, and I have created a object for this particular ptr, and then I'm assigning values 5 and 1 into my properties like data and id, and I'm calling the display function. So simple, just as simple as that. It's just a basic program using classes. That's it. Now if I run this, you already can estimate the output. The output will be base class will be data is 5 and id equal to now 1. Now for this same code, if I am using a virtual keyword in front of my particular class, I didn't do any changes. I have just returned the virtual keyword. Now if you see the output, have you seen this? What is the error? Cannot instantiate abstract class. Okay, parent transaction can't be instantiated. That means you can't create object for that particular thing. That is why this is showing you as error. Okay, now what you have to do in order to avoid this error, what you can do? What you have to do here is you have to derive that. How we will be deriving that? You can derive it using the child class, is it or not? So deriving means nothing but inheritance properties. You will be going for inheritance properties, nothing but deriving. Now if you see here, the same code, I didn't change anything. Okay, same data and id, same function display, everything is same. But what I have done here, since this is the abstract class, abstract base class, I am what I am doing here, I am extending the properties by using the inheritance. Okay, extends keyword. Now I am deriving all the properties of my abstract class into my base class, and I'm again creating the same function void display with child. Now since I can derive this, so I can easily like I have created the child class handle and object for child class. I didn't create it for parent class, but I have created it for child class. And then within the child class, since I am deriving the properties data and id, I am assigning the values with ctr as handle 5 and 1, and then display. Okay, now if you see this particular thing, yes, run. Now if you run it, what will be the output? Your output will be child class will be this, and see, child value of data is 5 and id is 1. Now if you are asked, okay, if this is my program, if this is the program that is given to you in interview, and if you are asked, okay, to access the parent class, okay, that what I told you, to access the parent class with child class handle, this thing we have discussed in the previous video, by using virtual methods and virtual tasks. Okay, so how are you going to do it? So if you see here, this is the same code. So in order to access this particular class, what I am doing here, I am, have you seen this code here? So if you see here, abstract class with child class handle. So this is my abstract class, and this is the function of my abstract class. So if you see here, what I am doing, I have created the handle for child class, but I am assigning the entire child class to my PTR. So even though you are using the PTR handle also, it won't show you any error. Okay, even though it is virtual class, because you are now directly accessing the class, but you are creating the child class handle, and you are assigning everything into the PTR. You are not directly creating the objects for PTR, but you are assigning the values, so it doesn't show you error. From this you can see that the only thing you should remember for abstract class is you should not directly create the object for this particular class. You can assign the values. Now if you see here, this is the thing that we have discussed yesterday. So if you see here, when you are calling it as PTR display, the display within the parent class is being displayed. Now if you see a base is being displayed, but if you want to, if you are using PTR or CTR, if you want the child class display to be activated, then what you have to do, for this same program, if you are using the virtual function display, okay, again if you see here, okay, virtual function, that means you are creating the method also virtual in nature. Now what happens, even though you are showing the PTR dot display, you will be getting the child dot display. This we have already, since I have already discussed in the previous video, I am not explaining this more clearly. So here you have to remember one more important thing. Though you have made the class virtual in nature, that doesn't mean the functions or properties that you are using inside the class are virtual in nature. Okay, so many of you may think that since the class is virtual in the nature, so even though you don't give any virtual function for this particular method, it is virtual in nature, but that is not the case. Okay, you have to remember this thing. Even though the class is virtual in nature, if you want to make the method within that particular virtual class as virtual in nature, then you have to give the virtual keyword before the function also. Okay, that is why if you see here, since you didn't give any virtual keyword here, that is why even though you are calling it with PTR, the PTR display is only being displayed, not the CTR display. Like child is not being displayed here, base class method is being displayed here. So in order to avoid it, as I told you in the previous session, like we will be using the virtual keyword before the parent class display function, so that this will be virtual in nature, so you can't instantiate it. So that is why it is calling the child class display. Okay, got it? So this is about abstraction in system Verilog. Now, many of you have asked me while I was discussing about inheritance and all, what is the difference between virtual and pure virtual methods? Yes, so many of you ask me, is virtual and pure virtual same, or is there any difference? If there is difference, then what is that? Yes, of course there is a difference between virtual methods and pure virtual methods. Both are not at all same. Okay, just remember that virtual method can have the method inside it. For example, virtual class like abstract class can have the definition inside it. If you see here, this is my virtual class, is it or not? So this is my virtual class. Virtual class can have declarations, okay, like properties. It can have properties, whereas it can have methods when it comes to abstract or virtual class. Okay, but when it comes to pure virtual, then that means pure virtual methods or pure virtual. Okay, basically you don't give for pure virtual class, you will be giving for pure virtual methods. So the difference between virtual method and pure virtual method is nothing but the function or task, is it or not? So if the within the virtual function you will be having the declaration, is it or not? So basically every function will be defined and then declared, and then you will be having the end function keyword, is it or not? So this is for virtual function. But when you are using the pure virtual function, then your virtual function doesn't have any body. You should remember that. Okay, that is the difference between virtual function and pure virtual function. Virtual function can have the body, okay, and then end function also. But when you are using the pure virtual function, then this is only defined. That means the virtual function name is only defined. Okay, it doesn't contain any declaration or any body, and even it doesn't contain any end function notation. That means only you will be writing pure, only this line will be present. Okay, let us see an example on this. So if you see here, okay, this is my virtual class. Within my virtual class, have you seen this? This is pure virtual. That is the difference. When you are using it for virtual, what you will be doing? You will be doing virtual function, okay, void display, right? And then within the display, you will be having some body like dollar display or something, or you will be having some arguments, everything you will be having. But if you are using the pure virtual function, then you will be having only one line. And then here in virtual function, since you are using the function, you will be using the end function. But have you seen any end function here? No. That means pure virtual means it is only defined. Okay, we can't declare any body inside it, or we don't use any end functions. So now you may get doubt. Now if we are declaring, what is the use? Why are we declaring? Yes, there is use. Okay, there may be situations where you just need the function to be derived. Okay, that means you need to use the function within the parent class. Okay, so this basically this pure virtual function is declared in base class itself. Okay, you will see most of the times this will be declared in base class itself. So you will be deriving the display function within your child class, and then you will be overriding that particular thing, or you will be adding some defining some methods or defining some arguments, everything within your class, child class. So now what happens, this is just, it can be derived in any of your child classes. So any of your child class, if you are having some 10 child classes, every child class can use it on its different usage. Okay, so that is how the pure virtual function is used. Okay, now let us see the differences. Sometimes if you see here, if it is necessary to write a specific method for different derived classes, okay, you are having 4 or 5 different classes and you need to use a specific method for all these 5. That means some common method for all these 5 things. So for such cases, what you will do, you will be creating the pure virtual function within your base class, and then all these 5 functions will be using that particular that particular specific pure virtual function that you have created in your base class. Okay, so a pure virtual makes it mandatory for methods to be implemented in derived classes, because it is definitely, because when it comes to this is again one more difference in virtual methods. Okay, you can override it or you may not override it, it's your wish. Because since it contains the body within the virtual function, you can either overwrite it, or you have the chance to not to create anything. Like you, since if you see here, you are creating dollar display here itself, but here you can create another display function, or you may not. But here, in case of pure virtual function, since it is only defined, there is no declaration or there is no body, then it is compulsory for the child class to have some methods defined in a particular thing. Okay, whose prototype has been specified in the abstract class. Prototype is nothing but only only the defining of that pure virtual function is done within the abstract class or base class, and then within that abstract class you have creating the pure virtual function, and then by using this child classes you will be defining this pure virtual function. Okay, so this pure virtual function has no implementation method in the base class. That is what I'm telling. So it doesn't implement anything. We don't have any implementation methods. It doesn't contain any body. That is one important thing you need to remember. Okay, so a pure virtual method and its implementation in derived class shall use the same signature and same arguments. That means, since if you see here if you see this, it is having the same signature, like the name, it should be same when you are using it in the child class itself. That is one mandatory thing. Okay, it's a method. So virtual method, it is a method that can be inherited in derived class, and you can override its behavior. Okay, you can do it or you no need to do it, it's your wish. But a pure virtual method is declared in an abstract class to make sure that the desired derived class must have its implementation. That means you should compulsorily define it, because since it is not defined in abstract class, it is your duty define it while you are using that particular class. Okay, these are mentioned as pure, as implementation would differ based on derived classes. Okay, but are a must. That is what I told you. So this pure virtual functions is having some restrictions. What is that? As we have discussed before, pure virtual function can only be a prototype or template. That means it is just for a show. Okay, that means for just in order to show that I have created some method within my base class. In order to show it only, it is just a prototype for the pure virtual function. Pure virtual function cannot have any implementation. You should remember it, because many interviews, what everyone will ask is, here they will give you pure virtual in function, and they will be giving you dollar display here. But that is rarer. That means if I am using it as pure virtual function, it shouldn't contain any body. It shouldn't have any implementation. Okay, and then it is not even allowed end keyword, for example end function or end task. That is what I do. There shouldn't be any end function. That means it is just for a prototype. As I told you, it is just for a show, right? Clear? So this is about the difference between virtual function and pure virtual function. Hope you got an idea on what is abstraction in system verilog. Hope I have explained it clearly to you. If you are still having any doubts, you can ping me in either my telegram or linkedin or in the YouTube channel comment box also. So in the next class we are going to discuss about polymorphism, which is also one of the important properties in system verilog. So polymorphism means your object that you are creating can take many forms. Okay, so what is the need of polymorphism? Why do we go for polymorphism? Everything we'll be discussing in the upcoming videos, right? So this is all for today. If you like my explanation, please give me a like, because it is just a kind of motivation for me to upload more such videos on system verilog and other courses also. And also I'm getting many requests on protocols. Yes, I am working on it. I will surely upload it as soon as possible. Okay, so that is all for today. Thank you all.